Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's See What Happens. I'm the World's Address, and today we're not playing anything. Today, we are piggybacking off of something that I did on Twitch about a month ago, I think, that I really enjoyed, but I don't think Twitch is the right place for it. So what we're going to do today is build characters in Pathfinder, which is the game that I am currently playing with my wife and kid and some friends of ours. So what we're doing is loading up Hero Lab, which is the program that I use to build characters. It is incredibly useful. So this is going to be a couple of different things. It's going to be character building in general, how to build a level 4 character, because that's the level of PC that I'm dealing with right now, of player character. Also explaining a little bit here and there about Pathfinder in general, and doing an explanation of Hero Lab as I use it. So, we'll do a couple of characters. Each episode will be a character or an encounter, because there are encounter tables as well. But for this first episode, I'll kind of go through what Hero Lab does and how it works while I'm making the character. So this first episode is going to be a lot more in-depth talking about the ins and outs of the program while the character is also being made. So we're going to do Enemy of the Party and level 4. And you can see over here, these are the settings. Down here at the bottom, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this. Oh, good, that's showing up. But these are the licenses that I have. So I have the Pathfinder Core RPG Core, the Advanced Race Guide, the Adventurer's Armory, the Adventurer's Guide, BCRA 1, 2, 3, and 4, Deep Magic, Mythic Adventures, Pathfinder Unchained, the Player Companion, number 21, I don't remember what that was, Ultimate Equipment, and Alternate Wilderness. So these are the ones that are available for purchase down here, which eventually, as time goes on, they do sales pretty often. I'll put a link to Hero Lab in the description, and then also what I'm going to do with each episode is I'll make a fully fleshed out character, race, class, spells, weapons, armor, magic items, gear, all of that, and then I'm going to host them all on a Google Docs page, the PDF of the character sheet, and I'll put the link to that down below as well. So if you're interested in playing with any of the characters or kind of getting a little more in-depth look at them, depending on what they all are, you'll be able to do that. So we'll go ahead and Enemy of Party, level 4, and to make scores easier to do, we will do point by high fantasy, 20 points. We'll go into that in a minute. So this is what Hero Lab looks like. It's basically just a big database. Right up here, there is the exclamation point. These are all of the errors. So these are the things that we absolutely have to do to make this character compliant with the rules, right? So you've got to select a class. I need to put in attribute points because I have 20 attribute points to spend, and I've spent none of them at the moment. They're all 10s across the board. I gotta pick an alignment, a race, I need to level up, and I need a name. And once I pick the class, it'll have even more things that I need to do. I'll need to do a bunch of different stuff. So these are all of the classes. There are a lot of them. If we do only valid items, which is a great thing that you can do in this. You can cut it down from everything to just the stuff that you're able to do. This is the end. Wizard is the end that I typically use. Now, you can do other stuff, and I might do something like build a fungal creature as a full enemy that might be cool, like a fungal elf, some sort of a beast that's been taken over by sentient spores and stuff like that. You can do half celestials, half dragons, all kinds of stuff like that. Pathfinder, which is an offshoot of... well, it's not an offshoot of D&D. It uses the open license of D20. And it took 3.5 edition of Dungeons & Dragons and kind of made a few tweaks here and there, sort of streamlined some things, and, you know, and then that's Pathfinder. It's made by Paizo, who used to do Dragon Magazine, either Dragon or Dungeon Magazine. I can't remember. Both of those are really, really big within the Dungeons and Dragons community in the 80s and 90s, or I guess the 90s and the early 2000s. I forget how long ago that is sometimes, to be quite honest. I have a bunch of Dragon and Dungeon magazines. They were really great. They put out like alternate archetypes for different classes, and they would do like full-on adventures in the magazines and stuff like that. It was really, really great. But that was all done by Paizo, and they decided that they were going to take all of their stuff. They were going to take all of their ideas, all of their tweaks, and all of their cool things that they've done, and take the rule set that they were so familiar with, which at the time was 3.5 edition, and make their own version of Dungeons and Dragons, and that became Pathfinder. Pathfinder is a lot of fun. Now, Pathfinder is in its 2nd edition now, which I haven't played, and I think it more closely mirrors 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, but I'm not sure. I haven't really read much of it. I also haven't read a whole lot of 5th edition. I don't like to change too much. I have a real firm grasp of the rules for Pathfinder, so learning new stuff isn't something that I particularly want to do right now. But these are all of the things that we're going to go with. These are the classes. And I have an idea where I'm going to go from A to Z. Well, A to W, I guess. And just build one of each. So, I'm not going to start with an alchemist because they're not ones that I particularly understand too much. What's an arcanist? Interesting. But we're going to go with an Antipaladin because these are going to be an enemy of the party for my campaign. All of these will more than likely get used in my actual campaign as a boss or an underling or something like that. So I'm going to start with an Antipaladin. That'll be cool. There's a paladin in my group, and an Antipaladin would be very cool as a sort of a yin and yang thing. I always like to build characters that are kind of diametrically opposed to something in my group. So something that's the opposite of one of my group members, but also really good at fighting that particular person. So we'll do an Anti-Paladin. I don't think I've ever built one. So added close, and then that gives me a new tab opens up with Anti-Paladin, which is all of this. Not a whole lot, because it does start at level 1. And now we can see if there are any Anti-Paladin archetypes, right? So there's the Blighted Myrmidon. They carry the seed of rot in their black hearts and sap life from the natural world. Ooh. Boy, that sounds cool. There's the Insinuator. Between the selfless nobility of paladins and the chaotic menace of anti-paladins, there exists a path of dedicated self-interest. Oh, the neutral paladin. Interesting. Shunning the ties that bind them to a single deity, insinuators embrace whatever forces help them achieve their own agenda and glory, borrowing power to emulate divine warriors. That's interesting. And then there's the Knight of the Sepulchre. Not content with the Anti-Paladin's mere corruption of the soul, the Knight of the Sepulchre sacrifices mortality along with morality. The Knight of the Sepulchre archetype is available only to the Anti-Paladin alternate class, so they can... Oh, they become undead. That's what it looks like to me. They get Touch of the Crypt, which means at 5th level, they get a +2 on saving throws against mind-affecting effects, death effects, and poison. Harmed by positive energy effects and healed by negative, as though they were undead, although negative energy effects that don't heal undead, such as Enervation, affect them normally, and they have a 25% chance of ignoring critical hits. Cool. That's neat. I want to go with this one, though. They carry the Seed of Rot, so this is an anti-nature, anti-paladin. So that should be kind of neat. Now that we've got the archetype, we can go in here and do the other 3 levels, 2, 3, of Antipaladin. And his favorite class is Antipaladin. Or Antipaladin, or however it is you want to say it. We're going to use the default starting cash for a 4th level PC, which is 6,000 gold pieces. And you can see it actually tells you where you can find that information in the core rulebook, page 399. I'm going to hit accept. So I have 6,000 gold pieces to deal with, and that's going to be armor, weapons, magic items, and gear. So, we've picked the class, but we now need to pick the race. And for that, I have just as many options, as you can see. So I want to go with something. I'm going to try and keep these characters from being super min-maxed or metagamed or anything like that. And I'm going to go with what fits the class, maybe not abilities-wise, but conceptually what fits. So you've got an Anti-Paladin who is anti-nature and rot-based and stuff like that. So we should probably go with... I'm kind of thinking Ratfolk, to be quite honest with you, because they've got, like, that would be very cool. Let's see. Because rats carried plague and stuff like that, and I think that whereas this rot might not be a plague, like rats tend to live within, like, old dead trees and stuff like that, and so that really kind of brings it all together. My plan for this series is to also do one of every class mixed with one of every race. So I'm going to do my very best to not do the same race twice, or the same class twice. We'll see how this goes. There. So we've got a Ratfolk. They're neat. I think it has to be true neutral. Or no, he's bad, so we'll just keep him a true neutral. I think he can be fine there. Let's see what this says. Oh, alignment not permitted. Has to be chaotic evil. Usually it reds things out if I've done them bad. Nope. Chaotic evil. Boom. So with most of these characters, I'm going to keep them at true neutral unless their class demands that it be something else. And then if you decide that you want to use one of the characters, you can make it whatever you want. I'm also not going to name them. In fact, I'm just going to do... I mean, I have to give them a name within the confines of the program, but his name is just going to be Ratfolk Antipaladin. Nope, that's not how you spell that word at all. Or that, there we go. Ratfolk Antipaladin, right? There. That's what his name is going to be. He's not... I'm not going to dig into any of my name generators to find a name for this guy. That way, if you want to play with him, you can just print out the sheet, scribble out the name or whatever, and give him your own name. So, Ratfolk come with Dark Vision, Swarming, Tinker, and Rodent Empathy. Dark Vision can see in total darkness with a range of 60 feet. And it's black and white, but other than that, it's normal sight, so that's perfect. Rodent Empathy, it's still Dark Vision. Ratfolk gain a +4 racial bonus on handle animal checks made to influence rodents. Now, my concept for this guy could be that he uses rats to spread the rot. So he could be sort of like this... I'm gonna say Rat King, but I don't mean it in the actual physical, real-life thing that is a Rat King, which you absolutely should not look up on Google, because it's weird. But he's like a Rat King that spreads blight and plague and stuff like that, so that could be fun. Swarming. They're used to living and fighting communally, and are adept at swarming foes for their own gain and their foes' detriment. Up to 2 Ratfolk can share the same square at the same time. Oh, nice. If 2 Ratfolk in the same square attack the same foe, they are considered to be flanking that foe, as if they were in 2 opposite squares. Oh. I didn't know that. I didn't actually know that. Huh. So if you've got 2 Ratfolks in the same square, they are flanking, which means they get a bonus to attack and damage. And if they are rogues, they get to do their sneak attack damage and everything like that. So one way that you could play this character is that he could have a bunch of other Ratfolk, a bunch of other lower level Ratfolk minions that he uses as as pawns that he can have attack your player characters or what have you. That's definitely what I would do. And then he's the boss of that fight, or even have him in there casting various spells, because paladins can do that, or channeling his negative energy at the party to deal damage to them. And then Tinker, they get a +2 on craft alchemy, perception, and use magic device. Now I like the perception, but the craft for making a boss isn't really a big thing. Now if you're using this character to play in a campaign in, by all means, that would do something very cool for you. Let's see what the alternate racial traits are. Cornered Fury. So to replace Swarming, they fight viciously when cut off from friends and allies. Whenever a Ratfolk with this racial trait is reduced to half or fewer of his hit points and has no conscious ally within 30 feet, he gets a +2 bonus on melee attack rolls, and armor class. Now this is a good idea for this guy simply because if you're playing him as the boss, once your player characters have dealt with all of his minions, he now gets, and have hit him a couple of times, he now hits harder, or he hits more often and is now harder to hit. So that's pretty cool. Definitely looking at that. Now it gets rid of Swarming, which means he won't be able to share a square with the minions to do that flanking damage, but I honestly think it's a worthwhile trade. If you're playing him as the player character, if you're going to use this Antipaladin as a player character, then this would also be really good for you. If you don't have any friends within 30 feet and you've been hit a bunch of times, well, now you've got a +2 to your attack and a +2 to your armor class. Harder to hit, and you hit more often. Scent. They have strongly developed senses of smell instead of keen eyes and ears. These Ratfolk have the scent ability, but take a -2 on all perception checks based primarily on sight or hearing. It replaces Tinker's. The scent ability means that they can smell. They use their perception checks to do smell instead of looking around. Not worth getting rid of the Tinker, I don't think. Some Ratfolk can blend easily into their environments and move with surprising grace. They get a +2 bonus on stealth checks, and take only a -5 on stealth checks made to hide from creatures they have distracted with a bluff check. Now that wouldn't be a bad idea, so you can bluff them, kind of, do a juke, sort of like, oh, I'm going this way, nope, I'm over there, and now it's just a -5 on a stealth check instead of a -10, but you can basically kind of disappear. That wouldn't be so bad. Some Ratfolk unnerve, and this is unnatural. Some Ratfolk unnerve normal animals and train to defend themselves against the inevitable attacks from such creatures. These Ratfolks take a -4 on all charisma-based skill checks to affect creatures of the animal type. Dogs, cats, horses, stuff like that. And receive a +2 dodge to AC against animals. An animal's starting attitude towards Ratfolk is 1 step worse than normal. This replaces the rodent empathy. Now, I am going to give him the Skulk alternate racial trait, because that'll work better for him as a character. I like it. Okay. Back to classes. What are we missing here? The attribute. We'll get to that in just a moment. So, I have a language left. And that language should be Gnoll, I think. Gnolls are the hyena men. They typically hang around with a lot of the more animalistic races. Ratfolk, Tengu, Gnolls, they all kind of work together. And a lot of that is because they're all scavengers. So that would make sense. And he might get more languages. The higher your intelligence, the more languages you know. Now, give me just a moment, because I need to check. Paladins are based off of charisma. Yes, that's what I thought. Okay. So going into abilities, we've got 20 points right here. So we started at 10 across the board, and then we picked a Ratfolk, which is a +2 to intelligence, a +2 to dexterity, and a -2 to strength. And it's typically a -2 to strength, probably because they are small-sized. Yeah, here we go. Small size. So, it is what it is. Most creatures that are small size take a hit to strength. Because you're smaller. So, we want charisma, because that's going to give him... Start him at a 16. That's going to give him a lot of power when it comes to his paladin thing, his anti-paladin things. I'm not going to go too much with dexterity, because he is going to be wearing armor. More than likely some kind of a plate armor. Standard issue, paladin and plate, or heavy mail, or banded mail, or something like that. So his dexterity bonus isn't going to really matter so much. I will bump it up into 2 points so that he gets at least a little boost to the initiative. His constitution is what I really want to go up. In fact, I'm actually going to drop this back down. There we go. Oh, and then that's basically it. Yeah, this isn't bad. His strength is low. But let's look over here. Smite nature, touch of corruption. So this is the thing. 5 times a day, he can surround his hand with fiendish flames, causing terrible wounds to open on those he touches. Each day he uses this ability a number of times equal to half his anti-paladin level plus his charisma modifier, which is a 3 for me. As a touch attack, an anti-paladin can cause 1d6 points of damage for every 2 anti-paladin levels he possesses. So for this one, it's 2d6 points of damage. Interesting. But looking at this, I feel like we could get rid of some constitution. We could maybe bump up his charisma, and then we could bump up his strength to at least not have a minus. Yeah? So we bumped up his charisma to 17, and I've got a free ability increase because he's level 4, which we will plug into charisma. And now, if we look at these abilities, we're kind of getting somewhere. I see this character as more of a ringleader, less of a in-your-face hitting. And he will hit. He's just not going to deal a lot of damage in terms of strength. What I might do is give him weapon finesse, which allows him to add his dexterity to attack roll instead of his strength. Because right now he's just doing, where is it? His attack bonus is a +5, and that just comes from being what he is. So he's only got a +5 to hit, and I'd like to boost up those numbers a little bit. So if I give him the dexterity weapon finesse, he'll be able to have a +6 to hit. And we might be able to fudge some stuff not fudge some stuff, but we might be able to give him some feats to help him out along the way. So right now, these are his stats. This is point buy. So wisdom is not particularly important for this character. Intelligence is a little bit, just for rats. Alright, so let's go into Antipaladin. Perfect. I get to pick a cruelty. Let's go ahead and only use the valid ones. Fatigued, shaken, and sickened. So, this is all based off the Touch of Corruption ability, which I can now do 6 times instead of 5. That's going to be where he does most of his damage. That and maybe, I don't know, Smite Nature, or the channel negative energy. You can do that against good aligned creatures. So, when you use your Touch of Corruption ability to damage a target, you may cause the target to become fatigued, unless it can make a successful Fortitude save. And for anybody that wants to know what fatigued is, give me just a moment and I'll open it up on... I've got an app on my phone that I use quite a bit. Fatigued. Condition. So, a fatigued character can neither run nor charge, and takes a -2 penalty to strength and dexterity. So a -2 penalty to strength and dexterity means you deal 1 less damage, and you take a -1 to your attack roll, typically. And the dexterity is -1 to AC, usually. Doing anything that would normally cause fatigue causes them to become exhausted, so there's that. And then there's shaken, same thing, only with shaken. And that is... I'll read that off to you. Condition. A shaken character takes a -2 on attack rolls, saving throws, skill checks, and ability checks. Shaken is a less severe state of fear than frightened or panicked. So you can kind of hit them with some negative damage with your Touch of Corruption and then make them afraid of you. And then they take a -2 on a lot of stuff. And then there's Sickened. If I'm not mistaken, Sickened just makes you, like, throw up. Let's find out. They take a -2 on all attack rolls, weapon damage rolls, saving throws, skill checks, and ability checks. So honestly, Sickened is the way to go. And then I think they also throw up or something like that. You can add that in if you like. That's why they're having those minuses, those penalties, is because they are now sick to their stomach and can't keep their food down or whatever. But that's the one. We're going to go with that particular cruelty. It's a DC 16, which is not too bad. And it's a DC 16 Fortitude save. So there you go. Do I want any variant channeling? No, I'm not even going to go into those. Those are weird and do different whatever. No more cruelties, no more fiendish boons. Now, when do I get one of those? Do I get one of those? Nope, looks like those got changed up. Okay. So, and then I get to add 1 level 1 spell. Just 1. So we're going to do something... I was going to see if there was anything to do with, like, blight or disease or anything like that, but I'm kind of looking at this. Or sickness. That might be fun. Scurry? Oh, interesting. The subject contracts a severe case of scurvy, becoming both fatigued and sickened. If they're already fatigued or exhausted, the additional fatigue has no effect. If the target has not eaten fresh food within 24 hours, it suffers a -2 to its saving throw against the spell. An affected target that eats a citrus fruit, normally a full round action, assuming one is at hand, recovers at the start of its next turn. Non-mammalian creatures of the animal type are immune. We're going to do that. That's actually pretty cool. It's a DC 15. And you can just cast that. How many times a day? Okay. I guess just once a day. I'm not as knowledgeable about paladins. I'm not even gonna lie. They're, yeah, I guess just once a day. Alright, that's cool. It's a close range, ray type spell. Yeah. Well, there we go. It's a DC 15 save, fortitude. Very cool. That'll work. Alright, so this is done. And this is still something that I could pick if I wanted to, but the variant channeling, I'm not particularly interested. The negative energy is fine. Now we go into skills. We should see if he's got any knowledges that he's good at. Religion. Just religion. That's not really gonna help. Well, if somebody decides to use this as their playable character, then there we go. Acrobatics is not gonna make sense. Just putting that out there, because he is going to be wearing heavy armor. So anything like acrobatics and stealth is going to be a little bit rough. Anything that's got this shield means that the armor check penalty applies to that skill. So we're going to pick Handle Animal. And I've only got 12 skill points. And I can put 4 ranks into any one skill. So what that means is that I can pick 3 skills to put 4 ranks in. I can pick 4 skills to put 3 ranks in. And I can pick, on and on and on, like 6 skills to put 2 ranks in. It really just depends on what I see. Now, I would like Sense Motive. We'll put at least 2. I wouldn't mind some extra stealth, because even if I get like a -2 penalty or something like that, that's still a +10. That's not bad. Handle Animal is, of course, going to be something with him. And then also Bluff, right? So now I have 4 left. And I'm looking at these. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think these are good. This isn't bad. Like, the Handle Animal skill is really good. His Bluff is pretty good. His Sense Motive is alright. Sense Motive is like if, there you go. It lets you to avoid being bluffed. You can also use this skill to determine when something is up. So if you, or to assess someone's trustworthiness. It's basically, you can tell if somebody's lying. To an extent, it really depends on how your DM plays it. Like, they might not tell you they're lying. They might just be like, you get the feeling that they're not telling you the entire truth. You get the feeling that something is wrong. Like, it could be that they're telling you this because reasons. Whatever reason they come up with. Now, for feats, because this character is not particularly strong, we're going to dip into Weapon Finesse. So you are trained in using your agility in melee combat as opposed to brute strength. And that works very, very well with a rat. With a light weapon, rapier, whip, or spiked chain, made for a creature of your size category, you may use your dexterity modifier instead of your strength modifier on attack rolls. If you carry a shield, its armor check penalty applies to your attack rolls. Now, I'm probably not going to have this character do a shield, but I am definitely looking at the spiked chain. I think that could be fun. It is a favorite weapon of mine. Like, I love having a character use a spike chain. My wife enjoys using it as well because it's really just a fun weapon and it just looks very cool. Let's see. If I go one more point into dexterity, I could get slash and grace, which means I can use my dexterity modifier instead of the strength modifier for damage. So maybe let's go back to abilities and see how I could get there. I could take a hit to wisdom. That's not really gonna hurt this character. I don't think. Bluff is charisma-based, handle animal is charisma-based, stealth is dexterity-based, sense motive is wisdom-based. So I will take a hit to sense motive, but a +5 is still pretty good. Could instead, just noticed something, could instead go to disguise. Ooh. Yes, bluff, disguise, stealth. That could make him a perfect character to skulk through the shadows. Oh, I like that. That's much better. Like I said, I'm not trying to min-max this character, but I am trying to make him make sense, you know? So we're going to go with slash and grace now. There we go. And it's going to be spiked chain. If I can find it on the list. Oh no! Is it because spiked chain isn't a slashing weapon? Lame. I wonder. We're at the point where we can do weapons now. We'll do traits. You know what? We'll go ahead and just do traits. So, this guy was a Ratfolk. So he's definitely going to be somebody from, like, the streets. So let's try... Child of the Streets. Perfect. +1 on sleight of hand, and sleight of hand is always a class skill. That makes sense. And then because most people don't like... this one. Most people don't like Ratfolk. They're seen as dirty and Ratfolk in most Pathfinder campaigns and most Pathfinder settings are viewed in the same way that a lot of people view rats. Just in general. They think that they're not clean, they think that they're gross and all of that, when, you know, rats are kind of cute. But, you know, it is what it is. But we're going to go with you were bullied often as a child, but never quite developed an offensive response. Instead, you became adept at anticipating sudden attacks and reacting to danger quickly. That's very much a rat skill. You get a +2 on initiative, so that's perfect. I like it. Now let's get into weapons. We're going to go in here and we're going to customize a weapon. We are going to do... Can I please get a spiked chain? I'm not proficient with this chain because it's an exotic weapon proficiency, so I am going to fudge something. I've been playing this pretty good with the rules, but I am going to make an adjustment. I think it's adjustment. Yeah. So I'm going to add a new adjustment, and in adjustment, I'm going to give this character a weapon proficiency. It should be... maybe not. Is it exotic? Nope. Weapon proficiency. There we go. just one weapon proficiency. I want this character to use a spike chain when it typically wouldn't be able to do that, because I think it fits pretty well. Long range, but still also a very visceral thing to attack with, you know? Slide all the way down here into spiked chain. Ta-da! And now he's proficient with spiked chains. Go to weapons, and that will be reflected by us going into here. Theoretically, there we go. It doesn't deal a lot of damage. It's a 4-foot length of chain. It's covered in wicked barbs. Some have metal hoops to use as a hand grip. You can use weapon finesse feat to apply your dex modifier instead of your strength modifier to attack rolls. As long as it, even though it's not a light weapon, even though it's technically a flail. So there we go. Alright, so we're going to make it a level 1. A +1, and I want to give it a special ability, so we'll see what we can do with this. But if there is disease, contagion, corrosive would kind of work. What's deadly? No. Deadly you can put on a whip so that it deals lethal damage, which is kind of cool, but... Oh, let's just look at valid, first of all. And we're only looking for a +1 bonus. This is going to eat up a lot of his money. As a +1 adds another 2,000 gold to something, I believe. Man, there are a lot of things we can do, huh? Just sort of looking through all of this. Sadistic would be cool, but it's a +2. I'm not trying to be septic. This weapon stinks of rot and attracts maggots and flies. When activated, the septic weapon forces a victim struck to succeed on a DC 13 save or become infected with filth fever. Oh, that is perfect. A septic weapon functions 3 times per day and is activated as a swift action, which means you can do it and still attack and move. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. We'll come back to that one. I like that. That works very well for this character. I kind of want something like toxic or something along those lines. What I would really like is something like... So how, like, corrosive is acid and it deals 1d6 points of damage extra every single hit. That would be cool. The corrosive could work acid, rot, similar. The problem... Excuse me. Sorry. The problem with that other one is that it only functions 3 times a day, and the DC 13 is not particularly hard to beat. So it could be that this boss uses it, and just for level 4 characters, it might not do what I want, what I would want it to do, and if you're playing it as a player character, it might not do what you want it to do either, and then you're just stuck with this really expensive weapon that's not done anything extra for you in the 3 times you use it that day. Filth Fever, by the way, does... Give me a moment and I will find out. Ah, thank you. Filth Fever. From diseases. Yes, please. It deals 1d3 dexterity damage and 1d3 constitution damage. So, I mean, that's something. You're going to have at max 3 dex damage and 3 con damage, so that could be a minus, depending on what your numbers are, it could be either a -1 or a -2 to dexterity. or a -1 or -2 to your AC, and then like either 1 or 2 hit points per level damage. That's not too bad, but I feel like this extra d6 of corrosive is a better way to go. Holy cow, why does it cost so much? It's just a +2. Maybe if it's just masterwork? Can that work? I didn't think you could do that anymore. I thought things had to be a +1 to confer a special ability. Well, sure. Yeah. I like it. Oh, it seems to... Yeah, that's what I thought. Your weapon must be +1 or better. So, I could have swore that it was only $4,000 to do it that way and not 8. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back and edit that. And there. We paid less than we should have, but that's fine. +1 corrosive spike chain. Level 4 and level 5 is when your player characters should start getting some nicer stuff. When they should start getting that first, like, extra special weapon, that first extra special piece of equipment, because you should be fighting them with enemies that have those. +1 blighted something or another, you know? That's +1 corrosive whatever. Like, that's what you want against them. So now it's a +7. It deals 1d6 +1 plus an extra d6 of acid damage. That's not too bad. That's not bad. I like it. So, for his armor, I have an idea, and I'm kind of hoping... So if I do a +1, armor is less expensive. Just straight up less expensive. We are going to do heavy armor. I'm looking at this field plate, but it's expensive as all hell. Maybe we'll do medium armor. We'll do something that's like... I don't want to kill all of his stealth. Agile half plate would be nice. But what is that? For climb and jump is only -4. In addition, unlike most heavy armors, the wearer can still run at quadruple speed instead of triple. Interesting. Heavy armor is also going to kill some of his speed, usually. So you'll notice these are the +1s. This is how much you're going to get from the armor. This is your max dex bonus. So that's the maximum amount of dexterity that you can add to your dex-based skills. And then this is the, as you can see right here, the armor check penalty. So how much more difficult your armor, how difficult your armor makes doing dex-based things. If field plate wasn't so expensive, we would go that route. But I think we're going to drop it back to scale mail. And because I've got a little tiny bit of money, we're going to go with slick if we can. There. Oh, jeez Christ. No, we're not. Slick would be really cool because it gives a +5 to escape artist, and they can just like zoom right out. Shadow is another good one, but none of those are going to work. So let's go up to the top because I don't know now. Armor spikes wouldn't be a bad idea, and we're just going to add those. Those, they deal damage if you get grappled. Did I not hit that? Ah, there we go. Okay, cool. So we'll do armor spikes and exudes a vile taste whenever something bites or swallows a creature. Gross. But I don't think that that'll be a problem. Dastard. Only works for evil creatures with the challenge ability. I don't have that. Calming, champion, expeditious. That probably... They can summon a burst of speed. Yeah, that's not going to work out for them. Light fortification. When a critical hit or a sneak attack is scored, there's a chance... Yeah, this is a good one. Light fortification negates the extra damage from such attacks 25% of the time. So basically, you get a critical attack on him, a critical hit on him, and you roll the d4 to see if they actually take the critical hit damage, or if they just take the regular damage. The same with, what does it say? The same with sneak attacks. Yeah, let's do that. How much is that going to cost? Oop, too much. Alright, so it'll just be +1 with armor spikes. I'm positive. I don't want to make this guy too crazy. I don't want to fudge too much on him. But yeah, that's not so bad. Medium, gauntlets, slows, armor spikes. That's perfect. So now he's got an 18 AC. And it does hurt his stealth a little. Let's go back to abilities. Skills. Does that not hurt his... Oh, did I pick armor that didn't... It's a -3. Oh, it's because it was a 13 at one point, wasn't it? Yep. Right up top there. So it gives you the total bonus. It's a 10 plus 3 ranks, plus dex mod, plus small size, minus the armor, and then a 2 in the racial bonus. Yeah, so there we go. So you get a +10 stealth. Everything else is pretty much the same across the board. So we're still left with about 2 grand in wealth, and what we can do with that is get some... Well, first off, let's do some gear. One of the really, really nice things about Hero Lab is that it's got kits, where you can just go and buy... we'll buy a Paladin kit, because it's the same as an Antipaladin, really. Backpack, bedroll, belt pouch, some holy text, or in this case, unholy text. So yeah, that's 11 gold. And now this character's got some gear. Ta-da! Done and done. We never picked a god for this one to be worshipping, but we'll get there. Alright, so let's see if we can do a magic item. Not potions. And not mutagens, that's a whole different thing. Anointings. So let's start with rings, shall we? I've got 2,414 gold pieces to play around with. To try and find something... What's an ironbound ring? The wearer of a minion's ironbound ring can recall the instructions. That's interesting, but not useful for this particular character. Prisoner's Dungeon. A jailer's dungeon ring is worked gold. The ring is magically attuned to one or more iron prisoner's dungeon rings. When the wearer of a jailer's ring places a prisoner's ring on a subject, the prisoner cannot remove the ring without the use of a remove curse, limited wish, miracle, or wish spell. Neat. Okay, there we go. The jailer is aware of any wearer of a linked prisoner's ring, like a constant status spell. Additionally, all wearers of linked prisoner rings count as a familiar. Interesting. But, once again, not useful. There used to be a ring that I would always try and get Ring of Protection. That's the one, because this gives me a +1 deflection bonus to AC. Having an AC of 19 would not be a bad idea, and it's $2,000, and that's actually exactly what I'm going to do. I'm doing this for two reasons. I'm doing this because it could give my character, my players, a Ring of Protection. And also, if you're playing this person, this Ratfolk as a character, well, that gives you that boost. That 19 to AC is very nice. So, we're going to go into background one last time, find the deity, and then we'll pretty much be done. Chaotic Evil, the Unspeakable One. Interesting. Probably not that. Is there one that deals with blight? Chaos, Destruction, Evil, and Madness. Maybe. There's Jubilix, the Demon Lord. This is the one. The Demon Lord of Ooze, Poison, and Sloth. This is actually what we want. So for obedience, you have to submerge a small, severed piece of a human body in a vial of acid and chant praises to Jubilix as you watch and meditate upon the flesh dissolving in the fluid. Gross. Gain a +4 profane bonus on saving throws against poison, which won't really come up too terribly often, but I mean, if it does, hey, that's not so bad. Shapeless green mass of ooze marbled with dark ribbons of tar. Yeah, that's cool. And also super gross. So we'll do Jubilix as the deity. And it's a melting red eye is the symbol. So we go back here into gear, and we do melting red eye. And for this, we'll do Jubilix. And we'll make this £1, and we'll make it $1, I guess. Perfect. So, yeah. I also, you'll notice right down here where it says encumbrance ignored. I ignore encumbrance more often than not in my games unless it would make the story that's happening more interesting, like trying to cross a rope bridge or something like that. I might ask my players how much stuff they're carrying and do some quick and dirty math on penalties to their rolls or something like that. But yeah, I think we've pretty much got it. So in personal, it as you choose a gender and an age and everything like that. For age, I am going to bump it up. Ratfolk don't live long, but I am going to give him at least in his 20s, and I am going to make him just a smidge taller. They're roughly around 4 foot. I'm going to make him slightly tall for a rat person, and I'm going to give him 75 pounds. Gender I'm going to leave, I know I've been saying him the whole time, but gender I'm going to leave up to the player, however they want to do it. For mine, it doesn't honestly matter. It could go either way. And now, we're going to save this portfolio. I'm actually going to save it in a brand new folder called... you know what? I'm going to save it in a brand new folder called Let's See What Happens. Perfect. So now he's saved as Ratfolk Antipaladin, and I can go here to save custom output. I always use Ancient One's customizable Pathfinder sheet, which is something that comes with Hero Lab. And so we'll output, and we're going to output it into the Let's See What Happens folder as well, so everything is right there. And this is what it looks like. So here we go. Here is his character sheet, and like I said, this will all go on, there will be linked down below so that you can check it out yourself. we've gone over all of these things. And the best part about this is you can kind of go in here and go, alright, I want to show feat and ability descriptions. That would be very cool. I would like to show all the feats, right? Use a separate page for spells, and I would like full magic item descriptions. So in case you have magic items, it tells you everything about them instead of just a quick little blurb. But here's all of the special abilities. We didn't go into a lot of those, and that's because I didn't want this video to be like 2 hours long. But there's Aura of Cowardice, it's a -4. All enemies within 10 feet take a -4 on saving throws against fear effects. They're immune to disease. 2d6 points of damage for their channel negative energy. Smite nature, which means they can just crush nature, basically. They call out for dark powers to crush the forces of good. If the target's good, they add their charisma bonus to his attack roll and add his Antipaladin level on all damage rolls. So that's pretty cool. Swarming was a Ratfolk thing. Detect good, Aura of Evil, which means they can detect good up to 60 feet, and they also exude evil to anybody that is detecting evil. They've got the Sickened Cruelty, the Rodent Empathy, Skulking, Touch of Corruption, and then these are the feats, and the magic items, and the spell, which was Scurry, that gave them Scurvy. So that's pretty much it. Not all of these episodes are going to be this long, but there was a lot of talk about some other things that won't have to come up each time. The rest of them will kind of get right down into the meat of everything, and I'm going to try and keep them between 30 and 45 minutes. So let me know what you think about this. I hope you guys really like it. I'm actually really excited to do this because it gives me a chance to talk through things that I might want to do in my campaign, and it lets me come up with ideas and everything like that. And just Pathfinder is something, and tabletop games in general is just something that I'm really passionate about, and I want to share that with as many people as I possibly can. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you've got anything that you want to see created, and I'll do my very best to make that. It can be super ridiculous. It can be not super ridiculous. This one was pretty straightforward, and I think the next one that I do will be just a ridiculous concept character that could be fun to play but won't make a whole lot of sense. But yeah, pretty happy with this. So remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. Let me know, because I want to hear from you guys. You guys are awesome. You're the best. And as always, I'm the world's address, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.